What if I told you that a boy from a small Austrian town would grow up to change the world for the worse? In the heart of Austria, nestled by the River Inn, lies the town of Braunau am Inn. It was here, in a modest house, that a child named Adolf Hitler was born. His birth on the 20th of April 1889 marked the beginning of a life that would rapidly spiral into infamy. Adolf's father, Alois Hitler, was a stern and volatile man. A customs officer by trade, he was known for his hardline approach to discipline, often clashing with his more sensitive son. Alois wanted Adolf to follow in his footsteps and join the civil service, but young Adolf had other plans. His mother, Clara Hitler, was the complete antithesis of Alois. A gentle, nurturing woman, she doted on her son, often protecting him from his father's wrath. Adolf was particularly close to Clara, and her death during his adolescence would leave a lasting impact on him. Braunau am Inn, though picturesque, was a hotbed of nationalist sentiments and anti-Semitic ideologies. Adolf grew up amidst this cauldron of hate and prejudice, his impressionable mind absorbing these viewpoints like a sponge soaks up water. His family life was no less tumultuous. The Hitler household was often fraught with tension and conflict, primarily due to Alois's harsh discipline and frequent clashes with his rebellious son. These experiences, coupled with the prevailing political climate, would play a crucial role in shaping Adolf's beliefs and ambitions. Yet to the outside world, Adolf was just another boy. He went to school, played with his friends, and had dreams like any other child. However, beneath this facade of normality, a storm was brewing. A storm that would, in time, engulf the entire world. A seemingly ordinary boy, Adolf had a far from ordinary childhood. Adolf's childhood was marked by tragedy, hardship, and rebellion. The young Adolf Hitler, born in the humble town of Braunau am Inn, Austria, was not immune to the trials and tribulations that often accompany one's formative years. However, the depth of these experiences would leave an indelible mark on his psyche, shaping the man he would eventually become. One of the earliest tragedies to befall young Adolf was the death of his younger brother, Edmund. The loss of his brother deeply affected him, instilling a profound sense of mortality and loss that would linger throughout his life. Edmund's death was a significant turning point in Adolf's life, a moment that transformed him from a confident, outgoing child to a withdrawn, contemplative individual. It was during this period of intense grief and introspection that Adolf began to show signs of the fervor and fanaticism that would later define his ideology. Parallel to this personal tragedy was Adolf's tumultuous relationship with his father, Alois Hitler. Alois, a stern and often volatile man, envisioned a future for his son in civil service. Adolf, however, harbored aspirations of becoming an artist, a dream that was in stark contrast to his father's expectations. This led to frequent confrontations and a growing sense of rebellion in the young Adolf. His defiance of his father's wishes was perhaps the first expression of his strong-willed nature and his ability to resist conformity, traits that would later be instrumental in his rise to power. Adolf's early life was a crucible of tragedy and rebellion, experiences that shaped his beliefs and ambitions. His brother's death and his strained relationship with his father were not just personal trials, but formative experiences that influenced his worldview and his approach to leadership. The death of his brother and his turbulent relationship with his father were the first major trials in Adolf's life, shaping the man he was to become. The seeds of the future dictator were sown in the fertile soil of these formative years, hinting at the darkness that would later engulf the world. In school, Adolf was far from an exemplary student. The classrooms of Linz bore witness to a young Hitler who, paradoxically, failed to excel academically. His report cards were frequently splattered with low grades, a testament to his lack of enthusiasm for formal education. School was a battleground for him, a place of confrontation rather than learning. Yet, amidst the struggles, there was an undeniable spark of creativity that flickered within him. While his peers were engrossed in arithmetic and science, Hitler's heart was ensnared by the enchanting world of art. His notebooks bore the evidence of his passion, filled not with lecture notes, but with sketches of landscapes and architecture. As the son of a stern, practical civil servant, his artistic aspirations were met with scorn and derision at home. His father, Alois, insisted on a more practical path for his son, one that would lead to a secure career. But Hitler was not swayed. He was a dreamer, a young boy with a vision of becoming a celebrated artist. This dream was so potent that it led him to make a daring decision. At the age of 18, after the death of his father, Hitler packed his bags and moved to the bustling metropolis of Vienna, the city of music, art, and culture. He was determined to pursue his artistic dreams, to transform the sketches in his notebook into masterpieces on canvas. But the city of dreams did not welcome him with open arms. Instead, the prestigious Vienna Academy of Fine Arts rejected his application, not once, but twice. The young dreamer was told that his talents lay not in painting, but in architecture. It was a crushing blow, a harsh reality that clashed with his youthful dreams. Adolf's youthful dreams of artistic glory were met with harsh reality. The boy who once dared to dream was left to navigate the labyrinth of life, his aspirations crushed under the weight of rejection. These early experiences would go on to shape the man who would one day hold the world in his iron grip. In Vienna, Adolf was exposed to a world of prejudice and hate. This bustling metropolis, known for its grandeur and cultural richness, was also a hub of deeply entrenched anti-Semitic sentiments. Here, a young Adolf Hitler, far from his humble Austrian beginnings, was thrust into an environment that would shape his beliefs and ambitions. Struggling with poverty, Hitler eked out a living by selling hand-painted postcards and taking on odd jobs. This period of hardship was crucial in forming his perspective on life and society. He was no longer the boy from the countryside, but a young man grappling with the harsh realities of urban life. Vienna was not just a city to him, it was an arena of survival, a place where he felt marginalized and overlooked. His bitterness grew, fueling a deep resentment towards those he perceived as privileged. In the midst of his struggles, Hitler found himself drawn to the political ideologies that thrived in the city's underbelly. Anti-Semitism was rampant, with propaganda blaming Jews for society's ills. The seeds of hate were sown, and Hitler began to adopt these prejudiced views, seeing them as an explanation for his own failures and misfortunes. Alongside this, his sense of German nationalism began to take root. Hitler became enamored with the idea of a united, powerful Germany, a stark contrast to the fragmented and troubled society he saw around him in Vienna. He began to dream of a world where he and others like him wouldn't have to struggle, a world where the perceived enemies of the German people would be eradicated. In the midst of this bustling metropolis, a transformation was taking place. A struggling artist was morphing into a proponent of hate, influenced by the prejudice and animosity that thrived in the city's shadows. Adolf's experiences in Vienna were the catalysts for his transformation from a struggling artist to a proponent of hate. And so, the foundations of his destructive ideology were laid, setting the stage for a reign of terror that would shake the world in the years to come. As Adolf's beliefs hardened, the foundations for his future reign of terror were laid. This young man, once seeking solace in the arts, was transforming before the world's eyes, yet nobody could predict the depth of the darkness lurking within. The influences of Hitler's troubled childhood were profound. Early tragedies such as the death of his younger brother Edmund instilled in him a deep sense of loss and an understanding of life's fragility. His father's stern and often harsh discipline fostered a defiant spirit, a characteristic that would later define his leadership style. His time in Vienna served as a crucible, forging the extremist ideologies that would mark his future. In this vibrant city, Adolf was exposed to a world of stark contrasts: the grandeur of the opera and the squalor of the homeless, the intellectual fervor and the rampant prejudice. This melting pot of experiences nurtured a growing resentment within him, a resentment that would fuel his rise to power. The seeds of his anti-Semitism were sown here, in the city's underbelly, where he encountered the rhetoric of prominent anti-Semitic thinkers. His experiences with poverty and his struggles as a struggling artist further hardened his resolve, pushing him towards radical ideologies. The rejection from the Vienna Academy of Arts, which he aspired to join, amplified his feelings of bitterness and disillusionment. His experiences, both personal and societal, were carefully woven into a tapestry of hate, a narrative that justified his beliefs. The once aspiring artist was transforming into a demagogue, his canvas replaced by the political stage, his brushstrokes by vitriolic speeches. The boy from Brno Amin was no more. In his place stood a man who would go on to cause one of the greatest atrocities in human history. His transformation was complete. The echoes of his past formed the haunting melody of his future, a chilling symphony of terror and destruction.